Good, still morning. Good morning, everyone, again. When I was asked to come and speak, what came to my mind was, a lot of young people sitting in this hall are going to be wondering what a pension manager is coming to say to us. I actually aren't quite ready. I'm not there. I don't think I should be thinking of a pension until, much later in life. The thing is, before now, when we think about pensions, basically, it was for our mothers, our uncles, people who are much elderly, and you know that they've worked and then they're retiring, into old age. But the way pension is run now, because there's been a reform in Nigeria since 2004, is that you start your pensions from day one when you start working, either in paid employment or whenever you start doing anything that is paying yourself. And so what we are here to do is basically to give you tips on how you can start off early, saving towards your future, because your future needs to be secure. And we're just going to give you a few tips. I think the speaker from Union Bank maybe I should have done my presentation before him, because he's actually talked about a lot of things that I'd like to have mentioned. But I'll start off with, if I can have my slides on the screen, is that possible? Okay. Okay, just go to the next slide. Okay, so when you graduate from school, the most common thing that happens is that you either go into paid employment, you have a 9-to-5, or you start up a business. Now, we at Sigma Pensions, we have partnered with the NYSC, and we're very passionate about startups. And we find that, if you look at the Said and what's going on in the country, most people, millennials and younger people, don't want to work anymore. They just want to be on their own. They want to start up and do something that is going to pay them. I was looking at a video that someone shared with me about a millennial, and she was in a job interview, and she was actually resigning from a job interview. I found it really funny. But that's the reality, and that's what we're seeing now. People don't want to wake up at 8 o'clock and be at the office. They just want to sit in their houses and do something. So if you're going to sit in your house or in your home and work from there, how can you do your work in a very profitable manner? Can I have the next slide, please? I'm not going to talk too much about the SMEs in Nigeria, but they constitute about 90% of the Nigerian businesses. And we find that the federal government has tried in many ways, maybe more can be done, to sponsor SMEs by way of investments. I know they've used the Bank of Industry. Now we also have Lagos State doing something in that regard. So if we have more of these initiatives, we believe that we're going to have a budding economy, because really and truly, before we started the meeting, we were having some discussions, and we said, if you look at the demographics, you have more of the younger people, the higher demographics are in the younger people, and so we need to empower people to do much more, to work and have some, mainstay, and that's what's going to help this economy to move and to grow. And of course, that's what's going to put monies in the banks. If you look at the issues affecting, next slide, please. If we look at some of the issues that affect the small and medium-sized entrepreneurs, we have very unfriendly business environment. We talked about power, who can do e-business, who can do anything at all without power. There's also the challenge of poor funding. You want to do a business, it's so difficult to get funding. And then we have people who are coming into the business space with very low or minimal managerial skills. And of course, there's also a lack of access of modern technology. When we think about all of these things that hinder, the entrepreneurs from growing, we really need to think outside the box. Think larger. What can we do? How can we raise this capital? How can we get the income that will give us that business? Some of the main obstacles that we've seen include, a lack of satisfactory business plan, accounting, and other information. Now, we find that most people finish school and they really just want to hammer immediately. And, we have musicians telling us that, 30 million or billion, and you have all sorts of things. And these are the things that the more we hear them, they begin to resonate with us. How can I make this money immediately? But when you look at the most successful people in business today, most of them would tell you how they started right from the grassroots and worked their way right up. So if you don't have a business plan, if you don't have any sort of accounting, you're not going to get there. So I would say to you that, think about it. How am I going to, start doing my business? How well am I going to do it? How will I be able to scale it up? We also have, when you go to the banks or some of the finance institutions, they ask you for collaterals. They ask you to go and bring your grandmother's documents and all of that. It really is a big challenge. It's true. And of course, we also have insufficient levels of profitability and other business financial criteria that are not met. You want to do a business, whoever is going to be sponsoring you or investing in your business needs to see that there would be some level of profitability. So you have a bit of mismatch where people just come and they just put something together, they write something, they go to the internet, how to get a business plan, write it down, and then they come and they meet somebody who they feel can finance them, and then they give them and they say, oh, that's good, oh, this is good. So at the end of the day, oh, so in 1 month you're going to make 1 million naira. So, oh, fantastic business idea. So what of payment for your staff? Have you thought about your salaries? Have you thought about registering the business? Have you thought about all the things that you need to do? And then they start to scratch their head and say, I will do that one. I will do it. By the time you put all of those things inside, you find that the margins become smaller, and then you almost even begin to make a loss. So, can I have the next slide, please? We just want to tell you basically the most effective options that you may have for raising capital for startups. I think the first speaker talked about it, family and friends. I started banking about 18 years ago, and when I started banking back then, the people I went to at first, because when you start as a young entry-level banker, they tell you bring a lot of money. I went to family and I went to friends. Those are the people who would first trust me. So if you cannot sell your business idea to your family and friends, you've missed it. Because if they don't believe in you, chances are that no other person is going to believe in your business and in your idea. So you start up with going to family and friends, you do what you need to do really well, and you sell it to them. Even if they cannot help you, they're probably going to help you, with the people and with the connections and with the networks that will help to grow your business. Of course, we've also talked a lot about banking. If you go and you just want to get funding, yes, you're going to have to pay some sort of interest rates on your loans, which range from 17 to 22%. But we find that most banks now have woken up to the SME call, and there is a lot of sponsorships and programs and collaborations for SMEs. So that is another veritable way of getting business and funding for your business. Of course, we also have the venture capitalists and the angel investors, and these are the big ones, because now there's a lot of seed fund being pulled in together, and once you have that pool of money, it actually helps you. I would say you should also invest in marketing your business and invest in coming to programs like this. Attend a lot of finance, SME finance conferences and workshops. It's very stressful. It's very difficult, because you try and you try and you try, and after a while you just feel that I want to pull back. But I tell you, keep trying and never give up. Now, I want to talk a bit about the venture capitalists, because they're the ones who really believe in the SMEs and do business with them. You find that the startup entrepreneurs, they really want to start up their business, they want to scale their business, they want to control it, they want to own the profit. It's very good, but the challenge is that they really don't have the capital. So how do you get that capital? Now you go to the venture capitalists or the angel investors, and even though they want to partner with you, they want equity in your business, and they want it at a very low risk. What you need to do is to find one of them and strike a good balance between both. Because yes, you must have them have some part of the business, some equity, or they sit on your board. What they're really after, for the very good ones, because you may have some who are really just after the profitability, what they're really after is ensuring that you put in a strong corporate governance structure such that any monies that they're channeling into your business is put into good use and yields the profits that you want. So you must try to strike that balance. And there are lots of angel networks all around now. If you check up online, and if you even go, you can find find so many of them, and we've seen how a lot of people have grown and scaled up their business just by partnering with a lot of these angel networks and venture capitalists. So fact number one, next slide, please. You may have a good business plan. That's a fact. You've started up, you have a good business plan. You may even have developed a very pristine corporate governance plan. So you have that corporate governance structure. And you may also find a good investor. You may gain business recognition, and indeed, you will hammer like you wanted to. That's a fact. The fact number two is that you may have that good business plan, and you may have the good governance structure that we're talking about, but you may not find an investor, and you may not gain the business recognition that you want. And again, you may not hammer. So really, what do? Do you leave the business and, move on, or do you take on the challenge? Can we go to the next slide? So we think that once you are able to get the capital at a very minimum interest rate, you have a very successful pitch. Very important that you should be able to pitch your business. Try it out with your friends, with your colleagues. If you're married, try it without your children. I mean, sometimes you may look stupid. You just stand, or even the best person to sell to is yourself. You just stand in front of the mirror and you start to sell to yourself, and you give yourself that confidence boost, and then the profit. That's what people really worry about most. Once you have that, we feel that you are ripe enough to start off your business. And in starting off your business, you must also think about planning for your future. Because when we talk about a pension plan, we are asking people to start saving towards their pensions from today. We find that most people start off the business, and when we talk about pensions, they say, no, after. That one is not important. I will do it in the future. But you need to start off a pension plan now. So the things that are important to you, you start off the business, you have a health management scheme that is running for you, because you also need to be healthy to do the business. But more importantly, you have a pension scheme. At Sigma Pensions, we are been into business as a pension fund administrator in Nigeria for over 12 years. Our owners are Axis Gulf under the Axis Nigeria, or Axis under the Axis Gulf vehicle. That's who are running Sigma Pensions now. They have majority shareholding in Sigma Pensions. And we at Sigma Pensions want to see SMEs, we want to see business owners, we want to see startups thriving in their business. We think that if you're able to do your business, do it really, really well. Put in everything that you have into it. We believe that at the end of the day, you're only going to experience bliss. And so that's what we've come to say. The last slide, please. I think the end point is really about bliss, because you want to be happy in your business. You also want to be happy in the future. When you get to old age and you're no longer able to work as hard, you need that money that is also going to pay you up until you go to the great beyond and have a legacy that you've left behind for your children. And so at this point, we'll stop so that we can have the next speaker come up. Thank you very much.